You can make a difference. By becoming a supporter of our channel, you not only help us thrive, but also become an active part of our community. The link to join us is in the description. We're very concerned about eschatological salvation, salvation after death, and this is naturally contradictory. I don't even need to worry about salvation after death if I live well my life, if I zeal for the context of my salvation, if I do not allow the diabolical structures to have ancestry over me, or come grow inside me. Particularize this. When I ensure that my being is dipped in a process of transformation, conversion, if I am living the dynamics of this baptism, it is natural that I love. It is natural that I want good. It is natural that I do not sow discord. It is natural that I do not sow discord. It is natural that I know how to control my vanities. It is natural that I know how to control my pride. It is natural that I do not want to lie. In Jesus and knows very well that living the dynamics of Jesus is precisely to deny all this. It is not wanting it as part. It is not wanting to be part of these miseries, isn't it? Then you, somehow control your Adamic dimension that does not die, that is inside me, which is within you. When we open the doors of what is bad, we get lost. But when a word guides us and reacts within us this commitment to the life that every human being should watch over to maintain, we are saved. So the word is saving. The word has the gift of putting us within a context of transformation change, which also means salvation. Living identity is, there is always a being that precedes what it does. This is identity, because it is reflecting our humanity that we will approach this entity that we so much need to live. There is no other way. I don't know. I can't be holy if I don't touch my human issues, if I don't improve them and modify these structures. Sometimes we can have this wrong understanding that God is proposing a burden. No, God is giving us privileges. Have a heart similar to His, and it is possible. Grace acts in us, and we assume the responsibility to cut these ills, to cut these weeds that grow in our personality, to overshadow the resemblance. Then it is possible for me to have a heart similar to His. This is Christian anthropology. When teaching me, the Church teaches me this, that in history, in time today, in the daily life I face today, I am the guest to legitimize the presence of Jesus in history, and that my being is the place of conversion. It is here in my thinking, in my brain activity, in my intellectual motives. This is where my heart hits, where all my feelings are processed, where my sensations also exist and help me to be who I am, that the first dimension of Christianity is formed. It is Christian formatting. We could use a modern term, wouldn't it? When you format your computer, what do? You transform it. You remove it. You clean everything that was there and you project it for a new time. That's what baptism does to us. He removes us from an ancient condition and formats to a new life. So, from my baptism, I am dipped in this new way of being of Jesus. I say again, the Word of God guides us. And because it guides us, it saves us. And today, God saves us, inviting us to have a heart similar to His Son. It is no damage. It is a privilege. The orientation, my people, whenever she is loving, she has the saving power. A father, for example, can save the son of many bad things. It is enough for him to be aware of the guidance he needs to do at that moment of the person's life, the child. Be he a child, whether a teenager or even a young person or even an adult, the word saves because it guides. She has the gift of reorienting the way. Just before, here in Matthew 5, Jesus speaks of the Beatitudes. Blessed. Blessed expression can also be translated as happy, and can still be understood as well referred. Then God's word has the power to save us because it guides us. So she is the word of salvation. I am saved every time I am advised to act in a right way. Every time I can choose better, I'm being saved. When the word guides us, my people, it creates within us a context of reducing action of what is evil in us. And what saves us is the changes that make us better. When I want you well, I am providing you with who you are and at the same time helping to remove the excesses that harm your being. Asking God to conceive of us the grace to have a heart similar to his Son. And that is our purpose daily. When we put ourselves on this Christian journey, another thing we don't want, but to assume this similarity. God does not put us burdens. He relieves us, because this is a natural consequence of the one who strives in the process of change. We get lighter. Having a heart of Jesus means having a lighter heart. Having a heart similar to his, we give up the hatred that weigh us, the grudges that hurt us. And then we get, assuming a human lightness that is a very interesting project. Out that it is a very intelligent project that only the wise will know how to understand. We do not have the right to lose our lives with people, situations that make us lose. It was himself who told us, it is worth winning the world if you lose your own life. It is worth winning the world if we lose our lives. You may be thinking, and it is true, at many times in your life, you were unhappy because someone denied what you were. It didn't give you the opportunity to be who you were. Then, my friend, is a disaster. When we are not interpreted in a right way, when the eye looks at us the same way it looks at a wall or a picture on the wall, or it looks at us as if it were a decoration object in his life, you run the risk of being objectified, lost its identity, ceased to be, entered the dimension of doing in the most cruel way a human being can enter. And sometimes we are tired and life gets a burden for us, because we lack this courage to break with what makes us lost. You are a sacred territory. To say that you are a child of heaven, even if you have already missed a lot in life. Even if you have already failed a lot, it doesn't matter. Today is the day to remember that you are a holy territory. And by recognizing that it is a holy territory, you have the right to undo all the irregular camps that have happened in your life. People who arrived, structures, mentalities, things that were suddenly taking care of you and who they turned into an object. A good of consumption. Unfortunately, you got used to living like this. But you know very well inside, deep in your heart, you know that this discomfort needs to end. Because it is at stake, and we do not have the right, no, virgin, to play with our realization. We don't know how long we have, right? How long do we have to be who we are? We won't be wasting time with not being or realizing the other's dream because he imagined me like this. No. Life is urgent and we need to live with great disposition the opportunity to be today. Here. Right now. Today is Jesus telling us this. Come to me all you who are tired. Because when we are choosing wrong, we really get tired. It is always very exhausting. It is always very exhausting when we have that perception of being in the wrong place, doing what is wrong, with the wrong people. It's tiring, but you are not a missed case for being tired. And it offers this possibility of giving rest, of offering us this rest. And how do we rest, my people? Is it getting accommodated? No. No. We can rest when, with great awareness, very responsibly, we walk towards the right context. When you speak, look, from today, everything around me, everyone around me needs to facilitate my salvation. Because at some point, you can find out suddenly through this program, through a reading you do, through a word, you suddenly find that you are living the condition of object, and that in the condition of object, no happiness may be possible to human life, and that we do not have the right to objectify anyone, nor accept to be the object of the other, is life. And it's so beautiful when we find out with each other. Wow. Sorry. I'm objectifying you. I'm not leaving your being free. I'm not allowing you to be you. And love is born of this ability to respect these limits and to understand that the other is in the process of transformation. Not what I want, but in what God wants for him. And in this consists of human love. To accelerate God's desire in that person's life. For that we love each other, no it is. Then we always identify looking, as we propose, that in our lives we need to review our way of living constantly. It is a conversion exercise. We shed a light on our way of life and have the courage to recognize where we were not similar. What was today's attitude that, instead of making him advance in the resemblance to Jesus, made him back? What was the word you said today that it did not make you like Jesus? What was the thought? What did you think today? Even in the relationship with others. You can observe. Many times we don't change the attitude, it's because we don't change the way of thinking. It is interesting how much it is really true when I have difficulty living with someone. If I do not change the way I interpret the other, it won't change my way of treating it. I bump into it all the time, my people. You know very well. Accompany me. You know how public. My life exposes me all the time. And I need to have a lot of security in being so I can do what I do. And from time to time, it bumps into my life. Through a letter. Through an email. But the moment I am not interpreted the way I need to be, I have every right to set that limit. Why? The other is not interpreting me the right way. I am not an consumer object. Even as a priest, even if I have to donate my life, I am not an object of consumption. Sometimes we are so cruel about what we think with our prejudices, our distorted images of the other. We are very spreading. We are not similar to Jesus. Because if we look at the way Jesus related to those she's, it was always a welcoming, loving sometimes, but never losing tenderness and love. In fact, the hardness of Jesus made sense only because he wanted the good of the people. Sometimes we are hard is not because we want good, it's because we are really cruel. It's no use you want to modify your action if you have not changed the root that causes this action. It is much deeper. It's no use you trying to change a concrete and practical attitude if you don't change the reason for the attitude that is in being. Being is the house of all reasons, isn't it? Love is born in being. That's why what we do, our love gestures, they are directly linked to our being that loves. This is why the heart, when he is used to loving, when being always projects to solidarity, love, to fraternity, he will be very easy to do good, because somehow he is already orchestrated for a greater interior motive. Which radio in that situation? The gesture I make, it can be beautiful, maybe even kind, but it may have no love. Why? Because there is often a connection between my heart and my gesture. And when will I get the graces of having a heart similar to his? When life is difficult, guys. When someone offends me, then it is not when someone praises me that I learn to have a heart similar to his. It is when someone offends me. When someone hurts me with a gesture, with a word, when someone cheats on me. When the cross of loneliness weighs on me. When someone injustices me. When someone bends me. When someone bends me. When someone concerns us. This is when we will have the need to have ours. And you know that I keep thinking that in life we are very lacking in situations that provoke our being. Because sometimes we do so much, we work so much, we fall into a life of so many activities that we risk living without knowing what we are. Because practical life often encourages our doing and not our being. And that's why I need to have my moments of cultivating who I am. This is why religions teach us meditation, silence, prayer, contemplation. Then if you leave the field of religion, you enter the field of art. For example, you go to a show, you will watch an opera, You will watch a theater, a musical show. All this is giving you a forgetfulness of what you do and a memory of what you are. Good music makes us dive into the context of being, and that is why our human maturity depends on these visits we do when it is. Because it is in the being that we change what it does. That's why it's good for us to listen to people who are committed to the good of us. She won't fool us. That's why it's good to live, work, divide our lives with people who are committed to our good. Because you will strengthen this salvation within you. There are many people who are interested in our perdition because they don't love us. They are not committed to our personal truth. They are not committed to our life project. They do not treat us anyway. You are not an object of consumption. And often people approach us with such a greedy desire to be our administrators. Why? You are playing you wrong. Many weddings go wrong because of this. Because her husband interprets the woman as a good of consumption, does not interpret her as a human being who has desires, who has dreams. So, the attitude often that curtails, that it assaults. It will only be modified the moment your husband looks at his wife and interpreting her in a new way. There is freedom, and in freedom we can be brothers, we can be friends, we can be happy. Because no one is prevented from being. This is why Jesus speaks, and he advises his at that time. Particularizes that word today. Think what this word represents in your story today. Look at the most intimate context of your history today. Particularizes this. Are you facing today? Have you faced situations, established ties today that favor the context of your salvation? Or favor the context of your perdition? It is possible to be very concrete in this reflection. So, before doing what Jesus does, I am invited to be who he is. This is the boldness of the Christian proposal for me, for you. And by saying that I am the Son of Heaven, I am assuming in my life the commitment to be with Jesus. And then, of course, I will have the same gestures he has, the same attitudes. But the word first is to be. I'm a Christian. And because I am a Christian, my attitudes will be born naturally Christian. Naturally, it is a difficult word because our crystal gesture is not always natural, but it is because the conversion often be. Because the Christian life is nothing but you take care of daily the context of your salvation. Take possession of it. Being saved is that you what in the context of your salvation. Then you look at the life you live. The people who have authority over you, influence you, the books you read, the music you listen to, the program you watch. What we let in our head and heart, this is the context of your salvation or not. It is the context too. It can be the context of perdition. It's no use. We cannot deny this human context is where God can act, or he can be deprived of acting. But by assuming this commitment to not lose sight of the being that you need to live and experience all the time and dive, when we look at Jesus, we find out who we should be, as we should think. But there Paul said that we have attitudes of Jesus, we need to be like him. Then, what does he say? That we need first transform our mindset. Having a heart similar to that of Jesus may seem to us a candid thing. Far from us. Is this for the Beatles? No. To have a heart similar to his is to have a heart that is able to ensure the context of our salvation. And again, we are not just talking about eschatological salvation after death. Also, it's just that she is actually just a consequence of living well. Sometimes I find people
Thank you for joining us on this spiritual journey at Path of Faith. Your participation is key to our community's growth, so please leave your comments, give us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more uplifting content.